Very good morning to class 6th. Here is Kaushalya Rajpurohit, your English teacher, and today we are going to discuss the chapter The Little People. Now, this passage is written by Jonathan Swift, who was born in Dublin, Ireland. Gulliver's Travel, from which this passage has been taken, was published in 1726. Right? So, let us start with the story. The Little People. Jonathan Swift wrote about the adventures of Lemuel Gulliver, who had passion for sea travel. During one of his voyages, he was shipwrecked close to an island near the South Sea. He managed to reach an uninhabited island, and let us see what happened next, whether he was saved or not. Here, the main character of our story is Gulliver, who loves to travel, right? He has the passion for sea travel, and during his one voyage, he was shipwrecked. Now, here, shipwreck means to be left without a ship because of its loss or destruction at the sea, right? And then he just went to, or he reached to an island where he thought that there was no one, right? And let us see what happened next. I accepted a lucrative, that means well paying offer from Captain William Pritchard, who was master of Antelope and who was making a voyage to South Sea. We set sail from Bristol, and our voyage was at first very fine. However, we had barely been 2 weeks into our voyage when a violent storm drove us to the northwest of Van Diemen's Land and eventually shipwrecked us, right? So, this is what happened with Gulliver, right? When they were towards the northwest of Van Diemen's Island, when they were shipwrecked. Our crew made the best use of lifeboats, but the gales, that is, the strong winds, were so strong that we were quickly overturned, right? So, due to the strong winds, their lifeboats also overturned. What became of my companions in the boat, as well as of those who escaped on the rock or were left in the vessel, I do not know, right? So he didn't know what happened to his companion because they were separated, right? Because as the boat overturned, I can only conclude that they were all lost, right? So he thought that everyone was lost. For my own part, I swam as fortune directed me and was pushed forward by wind and tide to a desolated, that is uninhabited island where I saw no living being, right? So Gulliver swam towards a land. I lay down on the grass, which was very short and soft. I slept soundly for what I think was about 9 hours, for it was just daylight when I woke up. I attempted to rise but was not able to stir. As I happened to lie on my back, I found my arms and legs were strongly fastened on each side to the ground, and my hair, which was long and thick, was tied down in the same manner. As you can see in the picture, right? When Gulliver woke up after the 9 hours sleep, he was being tied, neither able to sit up nor move, and he was not able to even sit or move. I could only look forward. The sun began to grow hot and the light hurt my eyes. I heard a confused noise about me, but in the posture I lay, I could see nothing except the sky, right? So he was able to listen some noise, right? But he was not able to see anything because he was all tied up, as you can see in the picture. In a little time, I felt something moving on my left leg, right? So he felt something was moving on his left leg. It advanced gently forward over my body and came almost up to my chin. So he felt something which came up to his chin. Bending my eyes downward as much as I could, I saw what looked like a human creature, not 6 inches high, with a bow and arrow in his hand and a quiver is the case which is used for carrying the arrow, right? So saw a very tiny man. He was a very tiny man. Almost at the same time, I felt at least 50 more of the same kind following the first, right? So he was imagining that someone was walking over him and they were small tiny men. For sheer and astonishment, I roared so loud that they all ran away in fright, right? So he, for total amusement, he was totally amused, and hence he roared so loudly that everyone was frightened, and some of them seemed to suffer injury from the fall as they got by leaping from my body onto the ground. However, they soon returned, and one of them, who was venture, who took the risk so far as to get full sight of my face, lifting up his hand and eyes by the way of admiration, cried out in a shrill but distinct voice, Hankin and Jaggle. The others repeated the same words several times. If only I knew what they meant, right? He didn't knew what they meant, but they were speaking a different language, and everyone was ready, and they were attacking the Gulliver, and Gulliver was tied up. I lay all this while in a great uneasiness, so he felt very uneasy. At the length, struggling to get loose, I was able to break the string and wrench out the pegs that fastened my left arm to the ground, and at last Gulliver was successful in breaking the string, and he pulled out violently all the pegs that fastened his left arm. I discovered how they had bound me. So, with a violent pull, I loosened the string that tied down my hair on the left side, and now I was just able to turn my head about 2 inches, right? So he knew that he was tied up, and that's why he violently pulled everything. The creatures ran off a second time before I could seize them, and the creatures ran away right before he could grab them. Whereupon there was a great shout in a very shrill, in a very high accent. After it ceased, I heard one of them cry loud, Tolgo Ponic. No sooner had the cry been made than my left hand was covered with the tiny arrows and pricked me like so many needles, right? So they were attacking him, and the arrow fell like small needles. They sent another volley, that is, shower of arrow into the air. Some fell on my body, some on my face, which I immediately covered with my left hand, right? So they started shower of the arrows, and he covered his hand with the he covered his mouth with the left hand. When this shower of arrow was over, I groaned with grief and pain. He cried with grief and pain, and then on my striving, that is, on trying hard again to get loose, they discharged another volley larger than the first, and some of them attempted with the spears to stick me in the sides. But by good luck, I had on a leather jacket, which they could not pierce, save from the spears. Yes, but what was in the store for me next, I never could have imagined, right? So, this is the story, right, of the Gulliver when he went to an inhabited land, right, and where he was attacked by the tiny men. So this is passage is taken from Gulliver's Travel. So children, from this passage we get to know that how Gulliver reached to this island and how he was attacked by unknown tiny men. So I hope you have understood the topic. Thank you.